Right this second, I'm just so happy and so excited that I don't know how to begin this video, but let's just really start to dig into it. So it sounds like before the end of 2019, we're probably going to see Alan Wake come to the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. Yes, this is absolutely real. What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and if you've been watching this channel for a while, I'm sure you've heard me say that this is seriously one of my favorite games of all time. Over everything else, of all the thousands of things I've beaten, Alan Wake is certainly got to be in my top 5 favorite games because it's intelligent scares. This is a game that manages to terrify you not just by having things pop out of the darkness or having some creepy cutscenes, but actually in the moment-to-moment gameplay just freaking you out. You play as the famous author Alan Wake, somebody who's trying to finish his latest horror novel, and he happens to go to a little tiny mountain village that has a terrible curse. It likes to capture the most creative people it can, and then this disembodied thing called the darkness uses your creativity to make it. Now, part of the reason I've loved this game so much is because I am obsessed with Stephen King. I think I've read 50 of his books so far, and they are just so good. And I've always liked the idea of what if Stephen King got stuck in his own books? What if he, as a person, physically had to smash his way against his own personal demons? And that very much is what Alan Wake is. Something you need to keep in mind though in the creative world, especially when it comes to video game development, is that this stuff is expensive. This game is great, but it wasn't just made by Remedy themselves. While this creative team has been able to make things like Control and Quantum Break, Alan Wake is one of those projects that very clearly was helped very significantly by Microsoft. In fact, it obviously says Microsoft Game Studios right on the front, which is why this has been, up until now, an Xbox exclusive. Originally released on the 360, it was also put on things like the Windows Store, I think, for a short time, and of course, right now you can play it on the Xbox One. And we know for a fact that there was an exclusivity agreement, partially because it was, at the time, still owned as an IP, the intellectual property of Microsoft. Xbox owned this game until today. Yes, that's right. Remedy Games has managed, through some sort of dealings, to regain control in full of Alan Wake. And already they're saying that this is going to be a multi-platform project. So as of now, their official statement says that they're just trying to focus on getting Control out the door because this is probably the biggest game they've ever worked on. It seems so big and so good. So I understand that right now they don't want to just start diversifying themselves before this thing is officially released and awesome. But already in some investor calls, Remedy has been talking about the fact that they plan on having some boosts of income from their retro catalog before the end of 2019. Now to me, that is basically just fancy business talk for saying, hey, we're going to be remastering our old stuff to get a double paycheck. And when it comes to this game, I'm absolutely down for it. Now, something I think is so cool, but also a little bit of a downside, is back in the day when you played Alan Wake, it had a little bit of a cliffhanger ending. If you wanted to see how stuff actually ended, you needed to get the DLC. If you bought it new, I believe they gave you a free copy of the downloadable content in it, called The Signal. But you basically needed to beat this in order to see how the story actually ended, and most people didn't do it. Most people played it, they loved it, they were happy with the original ending, and they just flat out moved on. So this remastered edition, I think, is going to make it where even the people who beat it back in the day are probably going to fall even more in love with it, because they're going to realize that there were all these extra psychedelic chapters of it. This game is great. This news is great. And honestly, I'm going to try and support it on each platform. I am going to be buying it again. I'm going to get it on the PlayStation 4 and I'm definitely getting it on the Switch just because I want to beat this again, but also I really want to support Remedy. I love them as a studio and this is a great chance to basically vote with my wallet and tell people, hey, I'm okay with ports. I'm okay with remasters. As long as they're high quality, put everything on the PS4. Put everything on the Nintendo Switch. Let me just play everything. Okay, well this has just been a little hype news update. Thanks so much for watching, and tell me just how excited you are in the comments down below, because this is some very good news. Even if you don't realize it, you're going to play it, you're going to love it, and everybody is going to be celebrating. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. I actually spent this weekend at an anime convention, and I finally got a Dragon Ball Z shirt. I've never really owned a Dragon Ball Z shirt, and it's my favorite anime. I have no idea how this happened, but hey, now look at me. I'm ready for those Dragon Balls! Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.